But Father Abbott, why can't I have chocolate frosted sugar bombs and Cocoa Puffs and Fruit Loops and a giant mixing bowl? It's Saturday!
Hey, who ate all my Pop-Tarts?
Hey, they taste good with peanut butter on them.
Quiet, all of you. So yes, welcome back to a new year of Recorder on the Wall, where we're viewing all the Redwall properties from start to finish. I am your Abbott Pete.
I am not Abbott Pete, Matthias.
I am also not Ava Pete Katie.
I'm not Abbott Pete either. I'm Braden, back again.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
I'm
So-
glad we got that all out of the way that we are not Pete.
Yes, I feel much better now.
Yeah.
Good, you should. So if it's not obvious by our cheesy intro, yes, we're back to the cartoon. The PBS one, not the Netflix one.
That's
Or
not
if
out
you-
yet.
No, it is not as of this recording. PBS/Nelvana. It didn't air. Obviously, it didn't air in Britain's channels on their something else. So we are in season 3. Back, which is Martin the Warrior, which is certainly an odd choice. So if you remember all of us talking about the first 2 seasons, and if you need a reminder, that was Redwall and Madameo, respectively. Season 3 takes us all the way back to this, and honestly, it's kind of a wonder. It's kind of curious why they went this way. Now, honestly, from a storytelling point of view, that does make some sense. You've got this mysterious ghost from the last 2 seasons who shows up and speaks randomly, but those of you who have not read the books wouldn't know his backstory, obviously.
Context is important.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Now, unfortunately, this was the final season. I've seen a couple of fan theories running around of what the show producers had planned to do had a season 4 come along, and the most common 2 theories I've seen was either they were gonna follow the story into Mossflower, which honestly would make a lot of sense,
Yeah.
or they would have jumped to Mariel of Redwall.
I think Mossflower makes more sense because they could just be like, and now it's another lazy winter and we're going to tell another story.
Then we finish Martin's more or less story, because I don't think they would have turned Legend of Luke into one.
No, I don't know if there'd be enough material, so they have to start inventing stuff like circuses and wild ivy, and that wouldn't be good.
Ah! Sorry, trauma.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Our series begins. We're going to cover 3 episodes of this. Our series begins with episode 1, or 27, if you're going by the show's counter. Captured. Now, there is a few changes from the book, and we're going to address them according to the Redwall fandom, aka Redwall Wiki. But they're not all accurate, so yeah. The opener here does not follow the book, where the book begins us in between Mariel and Bellmaker. This introduces us post-Madameo about 7 seasons. It's the middle of winter. And you know what? I don't have a problem with this, because
I don't either.
the writers aren't going to take the time to introduce characters we ultimately never saw, and just for this one little bit of prologue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Especially
wouldn't make sense.
considering the fact that, it was Redwall, then Madameo. So it's like, okay, how do we introduce this, time skip backwards? Oh, easy. We'll put it in the narrative of a story from the characters that we already know. Bing, bing, boom, done.
That works. The only thing I have to say about this prologue bit is literally that we start off, and we're shown again more or less the same models from season 2 of the adult Matthias, Cornflower, Basil, so on and so forth. The adults, for the most part, are visually aged just a little, with the exception of maybe Constance.
Well,
So-
I find it really weird that the way they're depicting them as being older is all of them seem to have an excess of chin fur.
Mhm.
All of them. It's weird.
I've also
Even the
noticed
female
that
characters.
Yeah, there's no Orlando. There's no Alma, who would be a major fixture in the Red Walls to come.
Yeah.
But go figure. We do see the adult Matameo and Tess. Good thing Matameo as a kid is still in the crowd in his child model too. So,
Oh,
but
well.
As you pointed out when we covered Matameo, animation is hard and expensive.
yeah, they're going to use whatever recycling models they can. I get it. So, we also
But
see.
they completely reuse animation from season 1 of Redwall. It is
Well,
like,
they're hardly the only animation company to do this. Even Big Daddy Disney is notorious for recopying their own animation.
Even Star Trek did it.
Yeah, absolutely, they did.
I just find it particularly egregious because it's like, here we see, young teenage Cornflower serving food. And then here's old Cornflower. It's like, wait, what?
And we also see Grandma Cornflower, who looks like she's had enough of this at some point. The look on her face was a little irritated. But she's holding the young Martin II. So.
Oh, little Martin.
Yes. But we don't get much time here because Tim, who is now recorder, pretty much just narrates us right into the story. And we'll see when we come around to the final episode if we get a bookend. But if we don't, honestly, it wouldn't bother me that much. So that being said, we get the only appearance of Luke, the warrior, who has a fabulous mustache.
Oh, he does?
Yeah,
Oh,
he does.
yeah.
They redraw his fur to imply a mustache. So
it's absolutely luxurious. And I don't have facial hair. I don't want facial hair, but I can admire his facial hair. It's amazing.
he's not
And
the
whiskers,
only
like
one.
combined.
Wow.
He's not the only character to get drawn with a mustache in this season to come. There is a character we will not cover because he's not yet in the show. In the 3 episodes we covered, that gets one too. But it's kind of interesting to hear where the story sets up, because clearly Vilu Daskar fell out of contract talks because he's not only is he not even mentioned, Badrang is the one Luke is apparently hunting. And while it's not said by Luke directly, it is said by Tim. So maybe we can blame any narrative discrepancy on him.
That's true. It didn't really bother me that much. What bothered me more, actually, was that Luke sounds quite old to have a tiny son. He sounds more like Grandpa Luke.
Fortunately, he doesn't look that old. It's just he's got this very gruff, world-weary voice to go with this. Trying to draw a good comparison here. Well, I guess the best way to put it is, if you look at his left ear, he's got a gold hoop through it. So I can only use that to infer he's been on the sea a lot. So he's one of these, I have the weight of the world on my shoulders types, where he's aged 30 years in 10.
That makes sense.
And with his look, maybe he's from the 70s.
Possibly. We also have no mention of Martin's mother. So, par for the series.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
And Grandma is not even named.
Nope.
Heck, she's barely on screen for a full minute before she's gone. Nor do we get any other mention of the rest of Luke's tribe, including Tim Ballisto, which would have been really interesting to see if we did get season 4 with Mossflower.
So was there any mention of like Wendra dying or anything?
Nope.
Like, did it show? Okay.
Nope,
I was
not
like,
at all.
I didn't think so, but
she is literally on the scene where Badrang captures her and Martin, and then she is gone. She is not around in the next scene where we have an older Martin.
Yes.
I will say, I think because they do some little animation cues / transition things to help us jump through time. So after Luke gets on his boat and rows out to the ship, Martin draws his sword, which is little bit too heavy for him, a la young Matameo, and holds it up in the air as like a warrior salute, and the sun flashes off of it before it blinks, and we transition towards Martin on the coast sometime later, ambiguous amount of time, hunting little crabs to forage for food, when he and his grandmother get assaulted by Battering and Co. And then he gets hit on the back of the head. The flash cut to Marshank, where he's now fully grown and helping to drag giant stone.
So, yeah, I also mentioned of Luke's sword, which is not the old battle-scarred blade it's supposed to be depicted in the books. It is in pretty good shape. It's kind of obvious flaw, and the only thing that separates it from what Martin's sword is depicted later, chronologically speaking, is that Martin's version of the blade has engraving.
Mm-hmm.
Rat death.
What? We don't mention that.
There is no rat death in Ba Sing Se.
Ah!
Yeah.
But yeah. And that's basically our general transition. Is Martin is crab hunting. Grandma finds him. She's mad at him because he's more than a mile away from the camp. And hi, Batarang.
Yes, which
And
am I the only one that thinks that he and Clooney were voiced by the same person? Because they sound pretty identical.
let me check. And so while we do that, while I'm checking on that, essentially Martin's entrance is that they're loading this huge stone into the Marshank by putting logs in front of it to forward roll on. So very much Egyptian building pyramids in effect. And Marshank itself is actually pretty well drawn. Like, you can see it's a pretty compact fortress. It's not nearly the size of Redwall or the Salamanderstron that we never get to see. So
sad.
Yeah. It looks to be about you could probably walk from on one side, one corner to the next in about 30 to 40 seconds. It's pretty small.
And yes, that good ear, Katie, because that is the same voice actor.
Sweet, I win.
Well, we can't use that for trivia. But and then Martin, of course, he basically gets in the face of one of the slave drivers and gets in trouble, and you see where this is going. I mean, it's literally the start of the book version. And Martin, the only major difference, and what I have to call out Batarang for stupidity, like, because this is definitely different from the book, is that when Martin's hung up between two poles to be soaked overnight and eaten by the gulls in the morning, it's not on top of the fortress wall. It is like a good 30, 40 feet outside the fortress.
Oh, weird.
And it's like, I'm sitting here like, you do realize that either A, if someone doesn't tie him up properly, or B, kind-hearted rebels can cut him loose fairly quickly. Yeah, they run the risk of being shot with arrows, but yeah, the whole point of you putting him between those poles where everyone can see him was to intimidate the other slaves.
Yes.
So yeah, so tactically unwise, and keeping your slaves in line also unwise.
Mm-hmm. Although I think I have an explanation as to why they did that, because this is a cartoon intended for like 8 or 9-year-olds. They don't want 8 or 9-year-olds trying to imitate that by going up on here's this wall. I'm going to play Martin. I'm going to be tied up, and now my arm's broken.
Well.
Yeah, and Martin does the usual of declaring he's not going to die here, and passes out.
I do kind of like the actor that plays him, though. I think he does a good job.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to rewind for just a sec. When he first causes trouble and Batarang is like, oh, it's you. It's always you. And Martin calls him scum. I love the way he just says, scum?
Yeah.
Sir, those be fighting words.
Yeah, how dare you accuse me of being scum? I am properly termed as trash. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I understand this is a cartoon for children. However, I just, again, also with his portrayal of Clooney, I just don't think he sounds evil enough. I just think he sounds more comical, which kind of diminishes the evilness for me.
I think that's the point, though.
Yeah.
Again, cartoon for like 8 and 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
And we also have Batarang himself, who, again, we know from the book is a stoat, although not identified as such. He does not have the normal color scheme a stoat would have. He's almost a melanistic version. He's pretty much straight black.
With a
Because
white
black
stripe
is
go-
evil.
Yeah, he looks pretty cool actually.
Oh, no, I'm not denying that the design is very good. So,
Yeah,
But-
but he looks like indeterminate species of vermin, like a lot of the unnamed horde beasts, which
Yeah.
also are nondescript vermin.
except Scalrag and the two chieftains, it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to identify what people are.
Just NPCs.
Point.
So,
So,
this might sound weird, but when Martin's out in the storm and Rose comes up and starts talking to him, looking at her character model, it felt like a blending of Matthias and Cornflower.
that's not inaccurate. We know she's female based on voice, and we've read the books, but compared to Cornflower, who had what's the veil? I don't know if that's the right word. Head covering. In her entire role, Rose is just walking around in this purple robe and tunic for the whole thing, and she's got a ponytail because girl. So girl said
Yes.
ponytail.
I mean, it's got
Oh,
a hood and she'll put it up and take it down as needed, but yeah.
I didn't know she was Druish.
Oh, that's all we needed. So, and given that she is the daughter of the chieftain of Noonvale, insert your Spaceballs joke here.
Yeah.
So, and then it's simple when, of course, Martin and Rose had their first conversation. Martin can't see her. Rose can see him. And of course, in the morning, the gulls come, and we get pretty much a repeat of the book. Rose and Grum are good shots with stones, and then she uses the eagle screech. And it's a good thing Rose is carrying stock audio files of an eagle screech.
Yeah. Yeah, those. So I have two little nitpicks because I always nitpick. The first one I did forget, so I will go on to the second one and hope the first one comes back. But when the gulls are first being driven off, Martin says, "Thank you, Rose, whoever you are," which is a great line. However, she only said late Rose. She didn't say, as she said in the book, "I prefer to be called Rose." So shouldn't he have said, "Thank you, late Rose, whoever you are"?
I mean,
Nobody else cares.
I don't disagree with your point, but I want to point out he's been tied up between two poles for at least 12 hours.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe he
Yeah.
only heard the word Rose and he was like, well, whatever.
Or it could be like, "Hi, my name is Joseph." And it's like, "Oh, hey, glad to meet you, Joe." It's like, some people will just shorten people's names to the common shortening, despite like having never met somebody. And it's like, "What's your preference? Do you prefer Joseph or Joe?" "Well, I prefer." It's like, I don't care. This is the one I'm comfortable with using.
And
Well, I've met many people who just call me Brandon because they don't pay attention.
Oh, well, I've been called Caden before because of the spelling of my name, so I get
There you
I
go.
getcha.
Yeah.
and I get a lot of people who assume Pete or Peter, and I just don't bother to correct them because it's not worth the time. So,
Anything but late for dinner.
I get with that reference. But yeah, where I was going with the stock audio files, because obviously you could have a voice actor attempt to imitate that noise, and it would be murder on their throat,
Yes.
as it is literal murder on the book Rose's throat. But yeah, I get why they did it. It's just a little obvious that you're using stock audio here.
Then again,
Oh.
it is intended for 8 and 9-year-olds, so
I'm not
Anyway.
saying it's not in the end of the world. So we also get Clog, who at points is Bane level hard to understand.
Yes.
I don't agree. I understood him perfectly.
Well, unfortunately, since it's YouTube, there's no proper subtitles here, and I could turn auto subtitles on, and it might be funnier, but it doesn't help me review this for the podcast.
I thought he sounded like Pirate Strong Bad.
Sure, yeah.
Why not?
Checking
And-
his C mail.
Yes.
Oh, God. So, and of course, the Battering, because he realizes Clog is coming to shore, pulls Martin back in, tosses him in the prison pit, and oh, hi, Feldo.
Did
It's not
anyone
the
else
first time we hear
appreciate?
Feldo, but
Yeah.
it's not the voice I was expecting.
Yeah. Did
Expecting
anyone else
something a little.
appreciate like how he looked with his belly just hanging on the the railing?
Mhm.
Sorry, continue.
No, it's all right. So there were now the fandom wiki pointed out three differences for this episode. One, what we've already mentioned, that the story of Martin the Warder is told in the is part, of course, in the Mario characters. Again, that's not a big deal. But two, 2 and 3, again, we've already mentioned. Vilu Daskar is not mentioned, and obviously he felt he couldn't reach a contract. And 3, the one is actually wrong. Quote, in Legend of Luke, Luke sets off in a large sailing ship. In the series, he sets off in a small rowboat that is literally going to a bigger ship you can see in the background.
Yeah.
Like, no, he has the bigger ship that's named after his wife we never hear the name of.
Maybe that's why it's just like, I can't name this ship because she hasn't been written into this yet.
Oh, maybe she fell out of contract talks too for her one line.
Yes.
Oh, she wanted to pull a cornflower. I get it.
So, yeah, obviously we don't necessarily agree with all their points, but all of that is forgivable.
Mhm.
So, all right.
I find it interesting and weird that when Martin gets tossed into the slave pit, the prison pit, Feldo has to introduce himself. It's like,
Yeah, I know who
shouldn't
you are.
after working together, like side by side, they should know not only each other's names, but the name of every other slave in Marshank. It's not that big.
I'm surprised that they don't know the name of Brome because he's a recent arrival.
Mhm.
But yeah, Martin should know the name of Feldo. But they got to be some exposition.
I love the voice actor for Brome, by the way. He just sounds so young and sweet and innocent.
And he's kind of depicted with the Matameo teen model, where he's not quite as tall as the adult mice, but getting there.
Mhm.
And I didn't mention earlier, young Martin pre-capture, his animation, that's young Matameo. That's I mean, I get it. You're reusing models because it's cheaper.
And again, young Martin does not have a British accent, but when he grows up, he suddenly has one.
I didn't notice that.
Just like with Matthias.
Well, there's no Myrtle.
Myrtle!
To set us off.
Myrtle!
Yes.
So that goes into episode 2. Episode 2, The Return of Clog. Although,
AKA episode 28.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have to make that point every time. So, this one had a section of differences from the book on the Red Wolf fandom page with no points. So we won't be doing that.
Oh, all right.
So it must match the book completely, right?
Of course.
Um,
Although I did notice some
Maybe?
dialogue. I did notice some dialogue that comes right from the book, which kind of made me happy. Like his banter with his crewmates. Some of that was taken right from the book.
Yep. And hey, look! Keela! An otter who wears clothes!
and once again, unnecessary introductions.
Yeah, Keela the Otter's my name. You had to say that you were an otter?
To be fair, it's not. We know it's an honor from the book thing, but it's not. I mean, just from an outside visual, it's not as readily as apparent as it should be.
Oh, I understand kind of why they did it, but I just think it's so bizarre. Like if you go into the world of Redwall, to have someone be like,
yeah.
"I'm an otter."
And of course, we get Clog, talking to the camera, aka his troops, about how he's going to meet with his old friend Badrag, and Badrag's going to give him the share of slaves he's owned, and if not, he's going to totally betray Badrag, and take all the resources. And at this point, admit it, Clog, you just missed your old friend. Come on, man.
I forgot how vital the slave economy is to like early Redwall books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also get Badrag's bit of, what are you going to do? There's a pirate crew cap approaching us. Let him in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why not? You don't know that Clog's here to commit violence. Okay, you totally know that Clog's going to do violence. I mean, you're not stupid, Badrag. I get that. But it does no good just to look from a violent point of view straight up. So, especially if Badrag can't work this scenario to his advantage. So, when Clog and his crew arrive and get into the foyer of Marshank after they open the doors, comparatively speaking, Marshank does not look like it has that many soldiers. We're talking
No.
a dozen, maybe two.
Huh.
They only animate the ones they need. The rest of them,
Yeah.
Mm.
Rest of them are on a smoke break. I get it.
Yeah. Do vermin smoke? Is that a trait?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Only when on fire.
Oh dear.
And Clog is the only one who actually looks like a stoat. I mean, compared to what we said earlier with Badrag, he actually has stoat colors.
Yeah.
And I love
And
his
the weird
mustache.
thing is, if you look at the two of them next to each other, there are like some minor similarities, but okay. Clog's head and face are round, is like spheroid. If you look at Badrag's head, it looks like the head of a wolf. How is that stoked? I don't get it.
Well, he actually works out.
Yeah.
Oh, that totally makes sense.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
But they have this great fake friendly banter between the two of them, and I absolutely love it. It's like you can tell that they're each about 2 seconds away from stabbing each other.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah, and you figure that they would have clearly moved on for whatever mutual animosity was in their past, but no, they haven't. They still can't get over that. And we both hear from their side of the story that that one left the other stranded and robbed of resources. And okay, guys, come on. Clearly, you
Yeah.
both know what happens. You just can't get over this.
I think
I
Clog
don't
may
want
have
to
been the.
admit. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think Clog may have been the fibber in this one because Badgering was saying no, it was the opposite. I got abandoned by you, and Clog is like, yeah, well look at where you are now. You're fine. So I think Clog was actually the one.
And
Yeah,
Clog,
they're each saying to each other, the way I remember it, you left me. So I can only determine that the two of them have like super selective memory that basically prevents them from seeing themselves as being wrong in any way, shape, or form.
Right, exactly.
I do want to go deeper into this topic, but unfortunately, I cannot do in this episode. There is an episode we will come to where we take off our Dibbin-friendly attitude and talk about obvious implications, but that is not today.
Nah.
Oh man.
I just noticed that Clog has ponytails on his elbows.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, he's got ponytails on his elbows, each end of his mustache, on his beard, on his braids. He's got like at least 4 braids, maybe more. It's like, how many braids does he have? All of them.
Well, to be fair, if you actually look up Clog's entry on the Red Wolf fandom wiki, he has all the braids,
Yeah.
Mm.
and I mean all the braids. I'm gonna put it in chat. See, all the
Oh
braids.
yeah, totally.
Yep, I see that.
Yep.
And there are selections in the book that talk about where he has braids on his chest. So, you know,
And you know he's not watching those.
he's fabulous. Moving along here, Clog show his totally not backstabbing intentions. He brings out a keg of damson wine, which they hit with an axe on the top. Like, do you not have a keg tapper inside Marshank or on the ship? No, just hit it with an axe. And there's Ambrose Sprike several generations down hearing this, and he falls over in his seat hearing of all the wooden splinters that got good damson wine.
What you gonna do?
Yep. Clog drops 2 goblets into the wine, presents one to Batarang, and it's like, what? It's not poison. Sip, see?
The cup is
Well, let me
poison. The cup
just-
is poison. Oh wait, this is an outcast.
Now,
Or
that
Moral
would've actually-
Fox.
Yeah, that too. That would have actually been a good plot twist if, oh, hey, Badrang, are you okay? Badrang is not okay.
Book over. I mean, show over.
Yep. But for what
Uh,
it's worth, I don't drink, but I wouldn't want to drink that wine.
I get it.
So, yeah, and then quickly Badrang turns it around when Clog Carly goes violent because he's not, Flattery's not getting him anywhere. And Badrang points out, yep, I got a poisoned knife and my archers have totally poisoned arrowheads. Leave.
Yep.
And Clog's just like, well, you do have a brain.
I find it interesting. It's like Batarang's accusing Clog of using poison and then uses poison himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So, yeah, and as they leave, this whole time I've noticed that both Badrang and Clog is using the same minion staffing company that would later employ Clooney and Slygar's various forces in the show. Because the animation models repeat.
Yeah.
I'm
Well-
assuming it's some faction of Vermin HR that
Mhm.
does the hiring for all Nameless Horde characters.
Oh, absolutely. And
Like a
we're told
headhunting agency.
Badrang says he wants to double the wall guard. I'm like, with your 24 people? Okay.
Yeah, when you go from 2 to 4, yeah, sure, that'll work.
Keep in mind, because I'm sure Clog was totally going back to his ship and we'll never see him again. So this whole time that Clog and Batarang have been meeting, we've been seeing our people in the prison pit have been doing a short stack, where they're standing on each other's shoulders, where Martin is at the bottom, supporting Feldo, who is supporting Brome.
Yes.
Martin's back and or knees should have no cartilage at this point. Even Feldo asks him, how do you do this? Oh, plot character. No, he says, we do what we must. But you seriously have an aspirin?
No, secretly, Martin is okay. I'm trying to think of a good like superhero with endurance. Well, he's not blind, but can we just go with Daredevil? Just call it done.
That'll work.
Sure.
So, and then of course we get Keeler return, who does a honestly pretty funny bit with the Flurgy twinge fake
Yes.
out.
Mm-hmm.
For those
I
of
love
you,
when they're like, "What is Flurgy Twinge?" And he's like, "I don't know."
for those of you who can't remember from the book, Keeler fakes an illness that the people in the prison pit totally have. That is called Flurgy twinge. Yeah, that's it.
And twinge, not what you would expect it to be spelled like Twinge. No, it's Twinj,
Yep.
because that makes all the sense in grammatical correctness in the world.
Of course it does.
But for the sake
And
of
I also
notes,
love-
I wrote it out right.
Yeah. I love, though, that Caleb pulls the classic, big scary boss told me to do something and might be mad if you question orders trope. I mean, it's
Yep.
been used any number of times in Redwall throughout the entire series, but here it's just executed. Mwah. Well,
That just-
Badring told me to.
That just leaves Keela, who has been told by Martin that there are people outside the walls, to sing at the top of his lungs that the guards can't figure out to contact Rose and Grum.
But at least the singing was nice.
The singing was nice.
Very good. Very good. But yeah, of course they're interrupted because, guards are approaching because maybe they're not as dense as I said. Meanwhile, Scoutreg's been sent to see where Clog's gone, and he's gone. Yeah, he'll never come back. Okay, come on. Scoureg, I know you're dense, but you're not this dense.
They may be dumb, but they're not stupid.
So that leaves us back to our first real look at the slave compound, and we get Bark John basically saying, well, we need to help out the people in the prison pit, so we're going to keep kitchen tools and anything we can grab and extra rations. And oh, hi, Droop, I forgot you were a thing.
You forgot about Droop.
Droop is just about as shifty and bad-mannered as I remembered. I hate him.
Again, for those who cannot remember, the Badring has a spy within the slaves, Droop the Vole, who's just kind of a jerk.
He's the worst.
He's the worst Vole.
He typifies everything bad we have ever said about Voles, ever. He's like the exact opposite of what Baby Rolo was.
And adult Rolo.
And we can't really fault Cynthia for being a kid in Madame Hale, as annoying as she got, because she also got to Hulk out at the end of the season too, so that was funny.
Yes.
But
I got angry.
Yeah.
But Droop here is deliberately basically just out for himself, and I am so getting a Stalag 17 vibe from all of this. And if you're again, if you don't know that reference, go watch it. It's a classic black and white movie, but it's literally about American POWs inside of a German Nazi camp. And there is exactly a Droop character who ends up being the hero. He has redemption.
Yeah.
Not this group.
It's fantastic.
Spoilers.
So we get who Grum is still the best mole in the animated series. That's only because we don't have much of formal in the first place.
I
do
do
they
like
tone
in
down the way
one,
they talk a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Maybe.
seems like it.
I think it's the same guy as well that played Formal, though, because I remember thinking, oh, that guy did a really good job. And then listening to Grum, I'm like, that guy sounds familiar.
Speaking of Formal, I like in the bit in episode 1 where he hands Basil a carrot to eat. It's just this funny background event. It's like, it means absolutely nothing, but there's so many character implications to that. It's like, don't do it, Formal. You're enabling his bad habits.
For whatever reason, that Formal does not have a voice actor listed on the Redwall Wiki.
Oh, sad.
I mean, we have Grum, but not. Let me double check though.
Yeah, and I think the animated series did a good job of showing that Rose and Grum have a really deep, close friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard a cat.
Yeah, I did too. Sarmina, come on, you're still in casting. Get back in the green room.
She's super talkative when she's around. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was like, am I imagining things?
So
I'm sorry. You said cat. I heard cat. Now my brain is going, kitty.
Yep.
So we get, of course, come back to the scene where our trio in the prison pit realize, hey, we need to make contact to tell them where to dig a tunnel for us. And not only, how did Brome's voice actor not peek the hell out of his mic?
Yeah, that was shrill.
Yep.
Now, if you're wondering what I'm saying by peak, if you ever decide to get jumping to the podcasting market and you have to go back and audio edit, which what takes me time on this show, there is something called peaking on a mic, and that was someone who is belting their heart out while they're doing this wonderful line, but they are too close to the microphone, so
Yeah.
they're overloading the sound level.
Yep.
And I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to go back and edit it. But you can tell in really, especially in really cheap animation, or if someone who's not doing their job in a song recording, the sound quality it gets so loud, the sound quality drops exponentially. That's peaking. But not only did Brome's voice actor end up, as Matthias pointed out, being incredibly shrill and a good yeller, I don't know how he didn't peak his mic, unless he's literally standing about 30 feet away from it.
I don't know, but he did a really good job. I was super impressed. He's
And-
just like,
Mhm.
watch this. And then he just starts screaming, "Wow, the fever, the fever." I'm not going to do it like he did because, again, I don't want to have to make Pete edit this.
Thank you. But I just have this image of Martin and Feldo after he's done shouting "What?" at each other for a few minutes.
Yes.
I will say I was just listening to some audio outtakes from a different cartoon last night, and to hear the voice director giving one of the child actors instructions on how to scream loud enough, and it was actually really impressive.
I can say for what little audio voice acting I've ever done, which is not much, if you come across a role where you have to yell, commit. Don't hold back, because acting is, you have to commit, and especially when it comes to voice acting. But be aware of how close you are to your microphone.
Mhm.
So, being said, Skywrag comes back to Badrang to give his report of how Clog is totally gone.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think Badrang has a meeting with Vermin HR because he literally threatened Skywrag that he'll throw some of his own people into the pit if this fortress is not built faster.
I also want to point out in this scene, the lighting is incredible. Like there's like this really great soft glow around both of them with shadows playing everywhere. It looks great.
You can definitely tell Nirvana by season 3 has this down to a science, where for at least this animation style and progression, like they know what they're doing with the Red Bull models at this point. And the new set creation and object and prop creation that they had to do for this story, because all but the prologue doesn't happen at Redwall. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos Nirvana on that. Skywrag, for his part, promises, "Oh, totally, Battering. I just need to go see some construction projects." And by construction projects, he means he's going to meet up with Droop and, let Droop be a weenie.
Yes. I do like
I
the
need
voice
to
actor for Skywrag as well, though, because he really has a really good, like, Cockney sounding accent going on.
It's
yeah.
one of those things where when he's talking to Badrang, he sounds very kind of whiny and subservient. But when he's talking to Droop, it's very just like, "I'm in control here. You will do as I say."
Yes.
And Droop may be a weenie, but he knows how to get what he wants. He basically forges a deal with Skywrag to get better food and wine for better information. So, weenie he may be, but he's at least intelligent. So we also get this very I won't say chilling, but definitely Droop showing that Skywrag, he's not the only one in charge. Quote, "You'd be surprised at what I know. Like when you borrow Badrang's credit card." Oh, crap. No, I joke, but there is that line of, basically, Droop is kind of quietly like, I don't necessarily need you if I have the right person talk to the other right person. He's like, got a point. And of course, Clog is back because he's Clog. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a.
Who would have guessed Clog would try to double cross Badrang?
Is it so much a
Did not
double
see that
cross
coming.
as Badran completely sees this coming?
Yes.
So yes, Klug basically parked his ship since he was running the meter last time. He went and parked it in free parking down the coast. So and then approached
Do
in
not
a
pass go. Do not
longboat.
collect $200.
Approached in a longboat that way. So yes, that's the end of episode 2. And honestly, so far we're pretty straight on the book as it existed, with some already exceptions we've already talked about.
Yeah.
But the only thing we really don't have is hearing the names of Clog's crew, but they're disposable.
That's like the point of a crew in Redwall.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Have we learned the names of anyone else's in Badring's forces except Skowrag?
Gurad was mentioned.
Okay.
I think a couple other ones because they were talking about like whether or not they had the Flurgy twinge.
Mm-hmm.
That just leads us into episode 3/episode 28 or 9.
29.
Thank you. 29, which makes sense. 13. Third division is a 13. Episode 3, Escape from Marshank. Spoilers.
Yeah.
I wonder what they do.
Yep. And this time we do have some core differences from Martin the Warrior that, again, the wiki outlines, which we'll cover at the end. So, that being said, episode 3 begins with... I have the first note I hear is basically when they're in the prison pit. So, I know that's not the start. I don't always take notes on every little thing that happens, but more the keynotes here.
Mm-hmm.
But Clog, of course, initiates an attack on the fortress. But more importantly, they first start in the prison pit, and Martin and Gogo get the bright idea of kicking their legs against the side of the wall to give Grum basically point of where to dig to. And literally the whole time they're doing this, it sounds like percussion, like drums.
Yes.
Being banged in the background. So the drums in the dark.
They are coming.
Yep. It's pretty like this. We also get Rose thanking Grum when he's at about 90% of the tunnel dig. Says, "Oh, you're such a dear, Grum," and she kisses him on the forehead. And we get Grum in a line that made me not do a double take, but I knew I had to write down, quote, "Oi not be ain't no deer, oi be a mole," which implies that deer exist in this series.
Yep.
And how big would they be?
Are they in Portugal too?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. Along with the horse, the single horse.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, indeed.
Oh.
That one was obvious. How did you not see that coming?
No, I expected that.
You took my pun reaction and used it against me. How dare you, sir?
Buck up, will you? Or you can continue to fawn over my puns. That's okay by me.
Well, don't say that too loud. My dog will come running.
No, we're getting too much further ado here.
Oh no.
Hey, I don't get many puns in this show, but I get a few. So that being said, Clog, of course, comes ashore, and one of his crew I noticed, basically because of an odd design. No, it's not Floater, because Floater's name's never dropped, and his poor brother Sinker. But
Yes.
there is a pirate with a dyed red snout. Huh. I have no idea which one this is. So, and I haven't read the book recently enough to know, hey, that's so-and-so.
I cannot think of who that would be.
Yeah. And we get our favorite two vermin, who I didn't take the names on earlier, but when Brome was doing his shrill yell, they literally tore off pieces of their own tunics to stuff in their ears.
Yes.
And they wake each other up and it's like, "Hey, does that look like Corsair swarming the ramparts to you?" "Why? Yes, it does." Because Clog's attacking. But, oh no.
I know I give the actor for Badgering and / Clooney a lot of grief. So I will say his reaction when someone tells him that Clog is attacking, just like, of course they are, Addlebrain. I was like, that's pretty good. That was a good
Yeah, it
delivery.
is.
That scene, before he hears the news report and responds to it, is a full 20 seconds of Batarang admiring himself in a mirror.
It's a like burnished bronze shield that one of his horde mates is holding up for him as he's like adjusting his appearance. And it's like, of course Batarang is vain enough to do this.
He doesn't even turn to the newsbringer to, like, you know, really react. He keeps watching himself, including checking his teeth in the mirror when he's responding to this.
I must prepare for the battle. I must look handsome.
He is very pretty, and he wants everybody to know it.
Yes.
He's like the villain from Dodgeball.
Oh, yeah. Or Prince Charming from the Shrek series.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
If he had hair, you'd know he'd be flipping it. So, and we get to the very famous Redwall animated things where projectiles are everywhere in the air, but no one actually gets hit by one.
Woo!
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a talking is a free action thing in certain TV shows.
But we get, you see stones, you see arrows, and you see the occasional fire arrow going back and forth.
It's just one guy with him.
Yeah. Look, he's got one job, and he's gonna take his time while making his shots. So. Yeah. And of course, Martin gets mad because, you know, he's actually angrier than Feldo at this point. Because even though Feldo, we have spoilers, we know he gets angrier later. And Martin's like, I'm not gonna die down here, and he thuds himself against the wall, falls to the ground, and that's when Grum breaks through. Oi, I certainly not. And Martin's literally looking up at Grum at that awkward angle, like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
And there's Clog instructing his Corsairs to use one of their own rowboats as a battering ram, which proceeds to break against the door.
Oops.
Clog, how are you planning to get back to your free parking where your ship is?
Oh, he's committed to this.
Yeah.
So the tide of battle turns against Clog decently quickly, but Batarang he basically tells his people to keep fighting. He wants to keep the forces engaged because earlier he sent Scalrag off with 10 of his best archers to burn the ship.
Yeah, that doesn't go well for Scalrag.
No, it doesn't.
Not particularly.
We'll get to that. And we do cut to Scalrag, who is, as Matthias pointed out, he's in his dominant speech pattern here. And he's like, yes, archers, burn the ship! Ha ha ha! And he has his own evil laugh.
Yes.
So,
and then we go to our escapees, where it's a happy reunion, and then love at first sight, and then Feldo.
I could hear the love music being played when when Rose and Martin meet. It's like it's a dead stop in plot as the two can't keep their eyes off each other.
Yes, this was not as obvious in the book. I think Martin was thunderstruck, but Rose kind of, when he like said some complete gibberish, she kind of laughed at him a little bit. It's like, okay, can you drink this tea because other people need to drink some?
Yeah, and I love Grum's line, like when everyone's out of the tunnel about, how Drum, I'm glad you got these people out. Well, be easy out there with the vermin killing each other over yonder. It's such a mole line.
Yes.
Of just straight logic. Like, yeah, what? The vermin are killing each other. This was easy. And we also get forming our 5-man band, Feldo, Brum, Rose, Martin, and Grum. We're totally gonna come back and help these people, and we'll even put our paws in together in a circle. And Martin has to convince Feldo, hey, I know your dad's back there, but if you get killed or captured now, it doesn't really help anybody.
I'm sure these 5 are going to stay together for a long time.
Yes.
It's gonna end great.
Yep.
It's called foreshadowing.
And Rose makes the promise, since she's the daughter of the chieftain, the full support of Noonvale is going to be helping them. And by full
5 shadowing.
Also,
I
she
mean-
doesn't know how to pronounce her dad's name because she pronounced it 2 different ways.
No. Well, we haven't met Urnvo yet, so yeah.
She says Urin and she says Urine. I was like, ooh, that's not a great name.
Look, I'm really mad at my dad right now, okay? Then, of course, in the distance, both this 5-man party and Glog and his troops, and much as Badrain, can see a strange light on the ocean in the distance where the free ship parking was.
Oh no.
Glog's beanie babies! I mean, his weapons!
You think Beanie
I
Babies
could
are
make a
people
really
in the Red
obscure
Bull
reference here. Oh, sorry, Greg, go ahead.
universe? Do you think Beanie Babies are people in the Red Wall universe?
I don't know.
Brain.exe has crashed. Let me try fail.
Point is, Glog's stuff is now on fire.
And
It's
I could
fine.
make a really obscure 90s TV reference. I'm not sure anybody would get
Go for it.
it. Burn, baby, burn! I'm the evil midnight arsonist. What arson's at midnight?
Thank you. I have no idea what that's referenced.
You were correct.
Anybody who can respond to this either on like Reddit, the Redwall forum, Twitter, wherever, and can tell what reference that is, you win a candy chestnut.
That will not be me.
Nor me. But all right, moving along. Martin realizes that, hey, if we're going to get the heck out of Dodge, maybe we should beat the vermin to their own ship before they come over with the fire brigade. And yeah, they do. And we get Martin, hey, we get 2 things that made me laugh. One, hey, they point out 2 clogs chasing people. Hey, that Scalrag guy is the one who burned your ship. And there's Scalrag. Wait, what? I mean, it is. He did. And we also get from Feldo and Martin both, the Freedom War Cry, which a little early yet. We haven't met the people who kind of make it. But, you know, maybe movie night at Marshank was Braveheart, so...
Yeah.
And there's Martin trying to get a boat launched, who conveniently trips in ankle-deep water.
Oops.
Okay? I mean, I've been fishing in enough rivers to say that that's completely possible. Especially when you're running for your life. Because Feldo trips in another second later. And of course, they get into the boat, and oh no, the vermin are closing behind us. And why do I hear the Sonic drowning music?
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
Oh god, I really hope that second movie coming out does not reference that, because that's like instant way to give an entire generation of people of a bit of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So they launched the boat, and at first I was just like, huh, Grom is supervising, because I'd forgotten this plot point while the other 4 row away.
Yeah.
But no, Rose turns to Grom, and Grom has the best, oh crap, look on his face.
Poor guy.
He's like, Grom, why are you looking like that? Why are you sitting all the way over there? You didn't move at all. Oh, I'm sitting on bottom over the hole.
Yes,
It's very refreshing.
because without Grom, Martin Company would be sunk.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's
who-
true.
I have to. Well, what caused this hole? Obviously, it was Bataring's vermin, or they hit sinker on their way out.
Hmm.
Nice.
But yeah, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna sink if we don't bail out the boat. And there's Brome, who's like, there's still mortal danger in the way of sinking, but he is way too happy. I'm free. I'm out of that prison pit. And why isn't anyone pushing the tiller towards land or at least along the shore?
Well, you know.
No, they are heading out into deep water.
Woo!
It's like, so, okay. But I'm sure that will come to back to bite you later. It will. It will. So,
It's all relative.
of course, as morning dawns, Clogus, of course, captures Scalrag, and I can't. I was genuinely going back and forth. Is Clog is acting this up, or he's genuinely mourning his ship, where all his stuff was that now has burned down, including the Beanie Babies?
I
The
think
answer
he
is
really.
yes.
Yeah, maybe both, but in the book he was really upset.
Yeah.
They have vermin insurance.
I
Yeah,
think
he
Clog
hadn't
is.
kept up with Ken kept up with his premiums, so his payments skyrocketed. So he defaulted on them, and we're not
Yeah.
going to go there.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I think Clog might be the type of person to be like, I don't need insurance. It'll be fine. I'm a great ship driver. Nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't anything to do with driving the ship. It just burnt.
Yep, he probably didn't think about that.
He didn't pay for the fire premium.
He's
No.
too fabulous for that.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was pointed out in one of the Redwall books that only sea vermin are so stupid as to use fire as a weapon because it's so uncontrollable, because they're always surrounded by water.
Yes.
A point. Yeah, there's a point. So, of course, Clog confronts Scalrag, and he actually does give him the straight up. So, let's say our positions were reversed. What would you do? Oh, and of course, Scalrag begs for his life because he's Scalrag. And he says, I'll do anything to make it up to you. Anything?
Anything?
And of course, we get the cartoon trope of where he whispers in his ear. We can hear whispering noises, but we don't know what he says. And Scalrag gets some really big old eyes at this suggestion.
You did say anything, my friend.
Yes, but sure, Brian. Well, how do we get the pantyhose on the chicken? I mean, that's the first thing my brain went to.
Yep. So we get a good scene here of where the slaves react to the reality that, hey, we need to get out of here somehow. And we can't. I'm glad, and Bart John is leading this. He's like, I don't know that we can necessarily wait for my son Feldu, who I'm very glad that he got out. But if no matter who wins this little war between vermin, we're gonna lose. But honestly, based on what they're saying, and based on what I know of galley slavery, battering may be the lesser of two evils, but lesser is a very relative term here.
Yes.
Well, he's the known
We still want
quantity.
out, but we want out less with Badrang than we want out with Clog.
Because here's
Yeah.
the thing. Here's the thing. Classical galley slaves, or at least what is kind of depicted in this series so far, especially with Sir not appearing in this show, Tim Ballisto, you're basically chained to an oar and are the engine of a ship until you wear out.
Yes, and Tim
Mhm.
Ballisto did not live very long. Spoilers.
Sort of.
No.
Yeah. That there's some
Depending on-
disagreement there between the books.
Yes.
Yeah, depending on which
Mm.
book you're looking at, it was either one or the other.
So, and I did wonder this the last time because, of course, as we kind of established, Brian keeps the good and bad sides pretty deliberately separate. But at no point does any Vermin leader we've really seen, maybe they'll do it in ones and twos, but they don't think, hey, I've got a crew of slaves here. Maybe if I make promises to make their lives a little bit better, I can get them to fight on my side.
Hmm.
And
Earn loyalty rather than threatening punishment.
Batarang doesn't think at any point that, like, compared to the numbers between him and Clog, he could honestly bolster his ranks a little bit with the slaves. But you've also got to worry about if you give the slaves literal weapons, oops, they stab you in the back.
Yes.
Because, slavery. But at this point, I'm wondering, like, Barkchan, like, if Clog's worse, then how either we need to get out or we help Batarang win. As terrible as that going to be in the long run for us? it's not brought up. But and of course, Droop sees the weapons they've collected, and of course he's being watched because no one in the slave camp is stupid.
Right.
Also, I think you guys are right on this insurance stuff with Clog because I think he built his rowboats out of balsa wood. So, I mean, yes, the longboats that are depicted in the books and TV show are not meant for long voyages. And there is a storm out. So, waves are big and things are bad.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and of course,
yes,
it's a storm. Brian loves his storms.
Yes.
Dark and stormy night. But Martin is the only one who's still awake and bailing out water. But they also see a big old fish in the water who, he ain't going to be picky if some mice fall into the water.
No.
But they basically realize, hey, yeah, this ship is going down one way or another, whether it's just regular taking on water or that fish smashes it, and the fish smashes it. And he literally hands the oars to Feldo and Brome, and then Rose and Grum, and says, hold on to this, that'll still keep you afloat, and then the ship breaks apart. And as much as, this is supposed to be thrilling, and Martin is, kind of drowning, at the same point, Martin can't die. His
Yes.
name is in the title, and we know he's a major Redwall figure. I hate to do this as an adult, but there's no real tension here.
Well, at least this Rose knows that there's room on the piece of wood.
Yeah.
Good one.
That was good.
I will say this, though. Despite knowing that Martin has to survive, the starting to drown scene still wells up this primal feeling of terror deep in my subconscious and makes me deeply uncomfortable.
And apparently Martin also speaks whale because he yells underwater. Like, you don't
and he
need
also
air.
seems to... He gets like this spoken message from himself, ?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
That was weird.
Let's talk about that. Because in the first 2 seasons, it's established Martin is a spiritual voice who gives wisdom or pokes people in just the right direction. Because, this is the thing in the series when he's very dead and his spirit protects Redwall. So whose voice is he hearing right now? Is this his own voice saying, hey, dummy, you really shouldn't drown because, you need to live? Is it his... Or is it Grandpappy Martin, like, saying, hey, got that out? Because it ain't Luke. We know what Luke's voice sounds like.
Yes.
Or maybe we could go in the real, brain-melting direction and say, it's Martin himself from the future after he died going back in time.
It's the Terminator version.
Great Scott! Yeah, it's a little odd, but of course Martin gets whoever this voice is gives him the oomph to reach out his hand, and Rose pulls him up over the waves. And he can now breathe. And that's the end of episode 3.
You saved my life, Rose. I'll never forget you.
And they have this really touching moment where they touch foreheads, and it's really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to the as with the beginning of end of each episode, the tapestry recap of what just happened. And you see Clog there just absolutely throwing a fit, and this picture is just too perfect. The way it's got both arms just up in the air, and he's like, ah! And you see the ship burning, cracked in half with this big spiral of flame in the background. It's mwah.
My baby, my baby.
My cabbages.
And if I really wanted to, I could make the Link's Awakening joke, but no, I've done that too many times on this show. But yeah, so that's the end of episode 3. And then from the Redwall Wiki, the difference from the books, quote, as Clog watches his ships burning yells, he threatens Badrang. In the TV series, he threatens Skowrag. Okay, but he kind of knows who Skowrag works for, but okay, it's fine.
They're picking at nits, just like me.
Yep. Brome, and while they're in the prison pit, Brome cries that he, Martin Feldor, are going to die. In the book, Brome does not address this. Okay, very minor. And, quote, in third point, Martin tells Brome that moles are sensitive to noises. In the TV series, it's Feldo who tells them this.
Wow, see, I didn't even get that deep into it.
Yep, I'm reading straight from the wiki here. During Scalreg's interrogation, he is accompanied with other vermin. In the TV series, it's just him. Well, minor point, because, I'm sure Claude kind of killed the others.
Kind of.
During the TV battle between Badring and Claude, Badring throws javelins at the Corsairs in the TV series, or in the book rather. Badring actually is an active party. In the TV series, Badring only watches as his beasts fight Claude's Corsairs because he's too pretty to risk that face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
It's not like we see a lot of female stoats in this series, so okay.
Right.
So those were the first 3 episodes of season 3.
Hooray.
And you know what? As I kind of mentioned earlier, Nelvana had really knew what they were doing at this point. They had found their footing. They knew how to process this pretty well. And they're a lot closer to the book than She Who Will Not Be Named from season 1. And honestly, I really don't have any complaints here. This is very well set up. The animation looks good. And, other than obvious repeating voice actors, which, hey, makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, this is all good.
I remembered my thing that I wanted to bring up earlier. So there was a thing that I didn't think was supposed to be funny, but I always find it hilarious when it's at the very beginning when Rose is like talking about how, oh, that cruel, heartless Badgering, he'll feel it if he hurts that Martin or my brother. And then right after there's this giant thunderclap. And it's just hilarious to me. It's like, oh,
That's
the
fair.
cheese. I love the cheese. I love it so much.
Yeah. Some of the dialogue, I will say, is not particularly strong, although, again, I get it. It's written for like 8 or 9-year-olds, so
Yeah.
it's not going to be like, I'd like to thank the Academy for this award, this Oscar for screenwriting.
Yes.
That's not happening.
No.
No, this is not quite the storytelling of like Avatar and Last Airbender. That's for certain.
All I will say is I have a lot of hopes that the Netflix series will do Martin the Warrior much better.
Yeah. Now, if I remember correctly,
They'll have a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it's the original book that's getting a movie, and then the Martin's getting a miniseries, correct?
I believe so.
Oh, cool.
Although it could very well be Martin the Warrior, Mossflower, both.
I wouldn't say no to that.
As long as they
Mossflower.
don't go off and make a She Who Will Not Be Named type character add-on, I'll be happy.
Honestly, though, based on who the production staff is supposed to be, I'm pretty hopeful here that they're not going to venture too far off.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Now, I could be proven very wrong, and if that's what happens, we'll sure to be talking to people about it because that's what we do here.
That's what we do. Indeed.
Suddenly it's Michael the Warrior.
And Luke's mustache is even bigger.
He's got mutton chops.
Oh my god.
I don't know why. I have this sudden image of Luke the Warrior as Mouse Teddy Roosevelt, and it is weird.
Bully.
Wow.
That would be entertaining, to be certain.
Write it.
Does anyone else have a comment on these episodes so far?
I like it.
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
I like it. Just, I didn't expect to be doing this, and I thought it was a little more fun than I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, I definitely enjoy. I enjoy this last 2 seasons much better than the Redwall season.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, we may rag on the Redwall season for having filler, but it had good points, and
It
it was
did.
Oh,
not
yeah.
bad by any means.
No,
Oh,
it's
no,
not
I'd
bad.
watch it again. It's not great, but it's not bad.
I mean,
I'm biased because it was my introduction to Redwall as a whole, so I have some rose tinted glasses.
I wish. Wow.
Oh,
Oh no.
I will say the one thing I've outlined at season 1 did better than the book, which, not much, but it did give us more time between Matthias and Cornflower's relationship to develop.
It did.
Instead of just, oh, I'm dying. Here, you two get married. Ugh. Which
I will
is
say,
kind of what the book does.
yeah. I do feel that this season, at least these first couple episodes, there were some really awkward moments. Even though they looked good, the dialogue was a little but at least the voice acting was all on point. So I remember later on in some of the future episodes, some that we'll be getting to next episode, were a little rough. So I'm sure I'll address it then. But
Yeah.
it's by no means perfect, and I definitely prefer the audiobook. But I will say that, again, this is in no way a bad series.
No.
So far, I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10, which puts it above quite a lot of the TV I remember from back when this originally aired.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, oh, by the way, we do have a new rating, a new text rating, no less. So I'm pulling that up right now.
Uh-oh. Is it another 5 stars, or did I upset the trolls?
No. You're good. You're good.
Okay.
It's still 5 stars.
Because I think one
So-
time I did provoke the trolls. Sorry, trolls. I didn't mean it.
they're unpredictable.
Yes.
Indeed.
Shall I
So-
tell them where you can find us while you
Actually,
do that? Or
give
do
me
you
1 second here because now we're
Okay.
up to 25 5-star ratings instead of 23.
Oh my. Thank
and
you.
our new text rating comes from Sweet Baby for Life.
Awesome.
So, listening to this podcast makes me laugh every time. The jokes are hilarious and while not exactly explicit, a little implicit. Really? We've never suggested an adult scenario underneath this at any time. Nonsense. and love the show. Keep up the good work. Well, we're trying.
Aw, thank you. We appreciate those.
Yay.
We really do.
Thank you very much.
And if you want to hear your name and review read on air, you can find us at recorderonthewall.com. We are on all the major audio podcasting distribution services, including Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify. And we love our ratings on particularly Apple because most of the other servers don't have a rating function.
I believe
Ah.
Spotify just added one.
Ooh, so yes, rate us on
Soon.
Spotify.
You could be our first Spotify review. You could be
Yes.
first. Wow.
Oh no, that's just tempting the trolls. All those people who put first on
Yep.
on a rating after a or YouTube comment.
Well,
I'm sorry, Pete. I did not realize what I was saying until after I said it.
What have you done? You can find our Twitter at ROTWPOD. Our primary contact Gmail is ROTWPOD@gmail.com. And we are also active on the Redwall forums, as well as Redwall's subreddit R Eulalia. Because apparently our Redwall was taken by someone else and hasn't been active in like 3 years.
well,
I haven't checked
fine.
it recently, but I thought I heard that somebody was trying to revive it. I don't know.
It's not even about the Redwall franchise, whatever it was.
Eulalia is a better title anyway.
Agreed.
I kind of like it. Yeah.
So, that being said, folks, I've got to go. I've got to wrangle these kids. So I'm your avid Pete.
Yay, sugar.
Oh no.
Brandon ate all my Pop Tarts.
They're awesome. They're mine now.
And we'll catch you next time, folks. Bye.
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 Sugar, 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 sugar. Three, two, one. But Father Abbott, why can't I have chocolate frosted sugar pops in the giant mixing bowl with Cocoa Puffs and Fruit Loops and all that other stuff?
Hey,
It's
who ate all my
Saturday.
Pop Tarts? Somebody ate all my Pop Tarts.
Okay.
Take two.
Yeah, take two. Braden, that you missed your entrance.
Oh, am I supposed to have a bit?
If you want to.
Oh, my bad.
It's
Or you
okay.
could be like, or you could be like, hey, shut up, I'm trying to sleep, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, that'll work.
the show's coming on. Do
Yeah,
that.
okay. Gotcha. My bad.
All right, take
It's
two.
okay.
Yes, when you're ready.
Take two. Sibilance. Sibilance. Recorder on the wall. I knew that would make you laugh. But Father Abbott, why can't I eat chocolate? Take three.
Oh no.
La, 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 la. I
This
can
is
speak
outro
English.
We'll make this an outro blooper.
Okay, take three.